We've all been there, right? You need to look something up, maybe a gift for someone or something a little embarrassing, and you don't want it in your search history. So you open up a new private window. You see that little spy icon and you feel, safe. But how private is private browsing really?
So let's get right into it, because the answer is probably not what you think. If you believe that going incognito or using private mode makes you a ghost on the internet, you're definitely not alone. But you're also not entirely correct.
And right here, this is the first crack in the armor. It's a warning you've probably clicked past a million times without even thinking about it. Your browser is literally telling you, hey, just so you know, your extensions can still see everything. That's the very first clue that private might not mean what we assume it does.
Okay, so let's break down what's actually happening when you go private. It's less about becoming invisible to the world and way more about just tidying up your own computer after you're done browsing. So here it is, the fundamental disconnect. On the one hand, private browsing is great at cleaning up your local machine. It'll delete your history, it'll clear out cookies from your device, it forgets what you typed into forms. But on the other hand, it does pretty much nothing to make you invisible online. Your internet service provider, they can see you. Your employer on a work network, oh yeah, they can see you too. And the websites you visit, they definitely know you're there.
And hey, this isn't just my interpretation. During a big class action lawsuit, some internal emails came out that showed Google's own employees calling incognito mode effectively a lie. Just think about that for a second. The very people who built it knew the name was giving users a totally false sense of security. And that lawsuit had some serious teeth. In the end, Google had to agree to delete billions of records they'd collected from people who thought they were browsing privately. They also had to change that little warning screen to be way more clear, and this is a big one, block those pesky third-party tracking cookies by default. It was a huge admission that the old way just wasn't good enough. So the lawsuit forced some changes around cookies. But what if trackers don't even need cookies to follow you around? Well, that's where things get a lot sneakier. There's a deeper, more persistent way to track you, and it's called fingerprinting.
See, unlike a cookie, which is just a little file that gets stored on your computer, a fingerprint is built from information your browser just openly shares with every single website it visits. It's not something you can just go in and delete.
So how on earth does this work? Well, your browser shares all sorts of stuff that seems totally harmless on its own. Like your screen size, your time zone, what fonts you have installed. But here's the crazy part. When you combine dozens of these little data points, they create a signature that is, for most of us, completely unique. Let's look at one of the most powerful and honestly kind of wild techniques, canvas fingerprinting. A website will tell your browser to draw a simple, invisible image in the background. Now, because of your specific graphics card, your drivers, your fonts, the way your computer renders that image is microscopically different from almost anyone else's. The website then takes that unique rendering and converts it into a special code, a hash, which basically becomes your permanent ID online. So, just how unique are we talking here? Well, research from the Electronic Frontier Foundation found that a staggering 83.6% of browsers have a fingerprint that is completely unique and trackable. Let that sink in for a second. The odds are absolutely overwhelming that your browser has one too. Okay, so we've got private browsing that isn't really private, and this invisible fingerprinting that tracks us without cookies. But now, in 2025, there's a whole new layer to this puzzle. And frankly, it might be the most invasive one yet. All those AI assistants getting built right into our browsers. This quote from the lead researcher of a really important study at University College London just nails the new risk we're facing. These AI tools need to see what's on your page to help you out, right? But that gives them a level of access we've just never seen before. And this UCL study, wow, it's a bombshell. I mean, just look at this. You have tools like Merlin and Cider that were found to be sending the entire content of every single web page you visit back to their servers. And it gets even worse. Merlin was even capturing data you type into forms. This isn't just tracking which sites you visit. This is like having someone literally reading over your shoulder 24/7. And what kind of data are we talking about? The researchers found these tools were grabbing some of the most sensitive info you can imagine. We're talking medical records from a health portal, online banking details, even social security numbers. And here's the real kicker. Some of these AIs just kept on recording even when a user switched to a private browsing window, completely defeating the entire point. Now, I know this all sounds pretty bleak, but it's not all bad news. The privacy world is basically a constant arms race.
As the tracking gets more aggressive, some of the browser makers are building more sophisticated tools to try and fight back. Apple, for instance, is pushing back hard with its advanced tracking and fingerprinting protection. It's really clever, actually. It does two main things. First, it automatically strips out all those known tracking codes from web addresses. And second, it actively tries to make your browser's fingerprint look more generic, so it's harder to pick you out of a crowd. And Firefox is another major player in this space. Its total cookie protection feature is awesome. It basically puts each website you visit into its own separate cookie jar. That means a cookie from one site can't be used to see what you're doing on another site. So, after all of this, what's the big takeaway for you, the person actually using the internet every day? It really comes down to understanding that online privacy isn't a simple on or off switch. It's a whole series of choices and trade-offs. So let's just boil it all down. Number 1, private browsing only cleans up your local computer. That's it. Number 2, fingerprinting is a real and powerful way to track you, and it doesn't need cookies. Number 3, these new AI tools are a whole new ballgame and come with massive privacy risks. And finally, everything you do online is part of this constant trade-off between getting something cool and convenient and giving up a piece of your privacy. And that really leaves us with one big question to think about. These powerful AI assistants that can summarize articles, write our emails, and help us search are incredibly useful. There's no denying that. But as they get woven deeper and deeper into the fabric of our digital lives, we have to ask ourselves, are we willing to pay for that convenience with our privacy? The choice, ultimately, is ours.